So Kevin, thank you so much for agreeing for a thoughtful interview. And honestly, to me, it's a privilege to sit with another believer, a person who's in faith, has their business in finance, and you're going to tell the people all about it. But I think it's really cool to have or to know the people in businesses running a business and have their faith. And just wondering, like, how did you get there? Like, who are you? How did you start your business? Why did you start your business? Why don't we start there?
Yeah, of course. So thank you for the invite. It's actually an honor to be here. Just to let your viewers know that this is my first official podcast in terms of having great conversations with great people. So my name is Kevin Monsanto. I used to be Kevin Baez. And I changed my name because I was the last male to continue my grandfather's family name. So before I got married, I got that taken care of. So that's why I'm Kevin Monsanto now, just in case, So I've always had the mindset of not only being rich, but being impactful. There was something placed inside of me by God to share, because I don't know when it exactly started, but I've always been in church. I've always was around that community lifestyle. But when I really met the Lord, I was around 16 years old. And I told him, specifically for my singing gift, I was like, this is yours. This is yours. And from that point on, I started to practice surrender. I started to say, Lord, take it, use it for whatever you want. I may not be perfect, but you are, right? And so then when it comes to business and money and great ideas and things like that, I always think about the mission of Jesus, how he impacted the world without technology, without social media, without having quote unquote business partners or platforms. His platform was himself. And so then as I started to learn more about him, getting more into relationship with him, I knew that there was something placed inside of me and I wanted to share it. I didn't know what it was when I was younger. And I'm glad that when I was younger, I actually didn't have a business because I wasn't in the right mindset. But I knew that I had something inside of me that I wanted to share.
So you said something really interesting that already stuck out to me, right? Well, you said a lot of interesting things already. But the first thing is the fact that you had this feeling of being rich and the fact that God has placed a business in your heart, right? So I think about folks that say the love of money is the root of all evil, right? What do you tell those kinds of folks? Like, how do you reconcile that? And I'm wondering if you had, I have my own business and I struggle with that myself, right? Trying to figure out, is this right? Me wanting to have, finances, wealth to leave to the legacy, the next generation. In my mind, depending on the church that I went to, I would get different, talks, right? So have you had any experiences with that? How did you overcome that? Because I know a lot of people that are struggling with that I feel like need to be freed from that mindset.
I'll share a quick story with you. I was in a youth group and I was about 18 years old. And I encountered two grown-up leaders that would help us with the youth group setting up and everything that was going on. And I told them, at the time I was in a different venture, and I told them, with what I'm doing now, I want to retire in 5 years. And they laughed at me. And so then that was my experience within the church, even within my family, even within my friends. Being rich was a notion that was impossible, not real. And I was like, why? If there's a whole bunch of people doing it, just because we haven't gotten there doesn't mean that it's impossible. Now, going back to the scripture of the root of all evil is money. It's true if you make it your God. But we know that it's a tool that opens a lot of doors, can impact, change lives. And so then looking back on that, of course, I wanted to, I always proclaimed that I was going to be the first millionaire in my family. And I'm working towards that.
Keep proclaiming that.
I will. You know why? Because it's not about the money. It's about the position that I will be put in once I get there. Like, the more freedom that you have of time, location, and finance, I believe the more impactful you can be. I believe you can become the person that you are actually called to be. as opposed to working a 9 to 5 and figuring out when I was doing my calendar after I left my job from Chase, I noticed how much time they were taking away from me. Like 8 to 6 hours a day, and then coming home, not having enough time to spend with my wife, not having enough time to cook or find new passions. I was like, wow, this is crazy. But I think the church itself, first of all, they don't teach a lot about finance, and what they do teach is debilitating.
And it becomes somewhat of a taboo, right? As soon as you mention any money,
You're a salesman.
Yep.
You're greedy. You're this. You're that. And unfortunately, unfortunately, that poor mentality mindset is still there. Is still there. And so then that's one of my goals, especially being in the finance industry, to really penetrate that and to really let people know, like, hey, don't you work for money? So why not do something that you can make your own money, and really achieve your passions, your dreams, your desires, while still making money? Now you have a different mindset because you're not working for anybody, but now you know that doing something that's gonna probably impact somebody with a great cake, with a great cleaning service that nobody, with a great barbershop, a salon, but now you can bring your faith into it. Most jobs don't allow that. They allow a lot of other things. They're liberal in a lot of other spaces, but when it comes to faith, it's not free. So I think the church has a lot of work to do. Now, are we progressing? Yes. Is our minds changing in the church? Yes, definitely. And I see it. Like each conversation I have about business and finance with people, it's like, wow, I never knew about this. And so then I think like one person at a time, one family at a time, one business owner at a time can change many things.
So, I mean, you have a lot of different skill sets, right? You're definitely educated. You worked in institutions, banking institutions. So you already had your career in this. And I'm wondering, did you know you always wanted to do something financially wise, for your work, for your business, or was this something as a result of your walk, right? You kind of saw a need. You're saying, hey, I see that, the church is suffering from financial literacy. So let me be that problem solver. And the reason why I ask it in that frame is because I started my communications business from that frame too. I saw a need in terms of branding, marketing, and stuff like that. And I said, hey, I want to be part of that solution. So just wondering, how did you get to that point where you're like, I'm leaving the banks, I can do this on my own. And at the same time, if you can frame it for the person who might not be as educated as you or have like degrees and stuff like that, how can they get started?
Well, let me make one thing clear. I'm always putting myself in a position where I'm always learning. So when it comes to the titles of expert and gurus, that's tough, because especially in the financial world, it's always evolving. But when it came to, did I always think finance was going to be my thing? No. I knew that I wanted to be in business. So when I was a personal trainer, I knew that people needed to get in shape. I knew that people needed to learn about nutrition and health. And so then I was more on the health side of things. But when I realized that nobody was teaching me how to handle my finances or how to grow my investments or my protection or what may have you, then I started to notice, well, I need to learn. And so then actually when I started working for Chase, that was my first banking job ever.
Okay.
And before I started working in Chase, I started to educate myself in finance before then. And so then when I slipped upon, and it's a funny story how I ended up in the financial business because it was actually through my wife. But to answer your question, finance was never the vision. Being financially free was.
Of course.
Having time freedom was. Having location freedom was. But the finance business actually came through my wife.
Okay, so I'm wondering, how did that happen, right? Because I know God just uses different people to kind of like put you in different positions, right? So how did that happen? Like, how did you get involved because of your wife?
Yeah. So and and marriage itself makes everybody better.
Of course.
My wife makes me look better. This chain she got me for my birthday, this chain she got me for Christmas, like she makes me look better. Physically, she makes me emotionally better. And so then my wife, she was on Instagram one day, and the way that she slipped upon my mentor was actually through like a commercial, a reel that was talking about nurses. Do you know how you're gonna retire well? Do you know where your finances are at? And she was all like, babe, I think we should meet this person. We should really talk to this person. And so then when we both sat down with her, we had a Zoom call. Right away, I saw the vision. My wife was not expecting that. I saw the vision of the impact that I can do through this business, and how I can really change the perspective, not only of, starting a financial legacy, but changing your perspective of like, wow, there's more out there that could make me another Rockefeller for my family. I can be the Rockefeller for my family. And so then that's the way that I stumbled upon the finance business. And so then I tell you what, when I entered this business, I never worked so hard for anything. Because when I tell you that as soon as I joined the business, I was like, can I even do this working at Chase? I would, you know what I mean? I was, and so then, long story short, it was my wife. It was my wife who introduced me to our mentor. I entered the business. I was ready to go. And she was really surprised. She was like, I thought we were just going to do a consultation. But
you did a good job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got a business out of that.
Yes.
So, that's amazing. And I want to talk a little bit about your business, right? Because we know how you got into it. Just want to know, what's the name of your business and what services do you offer? And who are your audience? Like, who are your clients?
Of course. So within my business, I am a broker, right? So as a broker, you get to work for the client instead of working to sell just for the company. So the platform that I work through is called World Financial Group. And through World Financial Group, I am allowed to have my licenses appointed to A or A+ rated companies. We don't work with anyone less than those ratings. And so then what happens is I can sit down with any family member, individual business owner. And so then what we offer is life insurance assets. And through those life insurance assets, we can help people retire well with a tax-free retirement, protecting their finances. How do we help business evolve their finances? How can we make people's money more liquid? And when it comes to retirement, how can we protect your money from what I call government contracts, which are not bad, 401ks, Roth IRAs, but how can we get your money from the market or just being in the market and create another vehicle for you, whether it's for retirement, setting up a college plan for your children, setting up protection for your family, your finances, making sure that if you leave this earth, everything is set, but also while you're still alive, how are you protected? How are you protected? And then within that, we share financial education. So how your money grows. If your money is in a certain account, how does it grow there? The taxes on that growth. The compound interest, how important it is. The rule of 72, how long is it going to take you to retire? So all these financial antics and education that we offer so it's not just products. So we are allowed to be brokers with over 100 companies with over 300 products.
Yeah, so offering a lot. And I remember the 72-hour rule. Is that what it is?
So it's the rule of 72.
The rule of 72. I'm gonna need you to clarify that because I think there's like a math involved in that, right?
Yeah.
And but I did have a question about the 401ks because it's being projected that funds are gonna run out 2026, and I'm wondering, what are your thoughts on that, right? For the person who might come to you for services and want like a 401k or something like that, how would you guide that person? Or what's your general feeling? Like, how should we prepare for that, or what should we look out for?
Most definitely. Well, there's a lot of ways that we can encounter that question. So the first question is, when do you want to retire? It also depends how old the person that I'm sitting in front of with is. And also, I would also say, like, 401ks aren't bad. The reason why 401ks were created was because the job place found it too expensive to fund pensions for their employees. So what they did was they switched everything, and now the responsibility of funding the 401k comes from everyone's paycheck. Now the question is, when do you want to pay taxes on the seed or the harvest? Right? So in the
Recommend
the seed.
in the beginning.
In the beginning.
Okay.
Meaning, if you put your money in a 401k, your taxes are going to be charged at your retirement age. Now they say, oh, you're going to be in a lower tax bracket. Nobody knows when you retire what that tax bracket is going to be. Now, all your hard-earned money, even though it is tax deferred, is going to be taxed on. And before you get your 401k given out to you, you have to pay about 3 to 5 people. And for the company, it's a tax write-off. So if I can teach people how to do that for themselves without having to pay 5 people and then getting their money taxed and losing money in their retirement, why not?
Wow, I did not know all of that. So by the time by the time you retire, let's say if you decided to tax afterwards, how much of a reduction are we talking about then? Because you said 3 to 5 people, you have to pay 3 to 5, basically middlemen. That's what it sounds like, right?
Yes, yes.
So what are we looking at?
Well, here's another reality. There are people who also use their 401ks while they're still working. So there's penalties with that as well. So it's even if you get to retirement with anything. And the other thing too is that people are really dependent on 401ks and social securities. And you said, is the money going to run out? It could. It could, especially for social securities. Well, what do? You can sit down with me and we can find out what we can do for you.
So make sure y'all reach out to Kevin.
Now, I will tell you this. I am not an advisor. I am a financial strategist. What does that mean for the people who are watching? I can't tell you to invest in anything variable, meaning in the stock market, mutual funds, or anything like that. Actually, and I am planning to get my licenses, but the goal is to really protect your money. Is to really protect your money, especially for the young folks. People our age who think they don't need any insurance, who think their money doesn't need any protection, who forget about compound interest. Imagine that we talk to all our friends who are in the bracket of 20 to 35 years old. Imagine in the next 30 years if they properly fund an account, how much their retirement could really account for. Not only that, when these people decide to get married, when these people decide to open up their own businesses, they'll have liquidity to use it for themselves, tax-free, for their families, whatever emergencies they have. So there's a lot of things that are available.
Honestly, and it can get and I think that's why, going to what you said, being a strategist, I feel like that role is ever more important because, finances is complicated. And there's a science behind it, right? It's not like budgeting where you could just say, I get this amount of money, and then I know I have this amount of expenditure, and that's it, right? That's a very surface level, I would say, knowledge base of finance, but now you have to know how to multiply that, right? We talked about, or we can think about like the scriptures of God leaving the gentlemen with different talents. He came back, one of them buried it, the other one multiplied it, and we know what the story goes, right? He took away from the person who didn't do anything and gave it to the person who multiplied it. So there's an importance to being able to just multiply your money, right? To be able to use it for different things and all that good stuff. And so I'm just wondering, for the person who needs to start getting educated, right? So that when they look at your services, they know what they want, or they just need to develop that knowledge base. Like, how did you start your journey in that? What kind of books do you read? Where did you get, your knowledge base? I know part of it is through Chase, but if you can recommend some resources just to get, people started in this stuff.
Of course. And now that you asked me about book names, you know how the mind just goes blank. But it's okay. It's okay. So I would recommend actually any books that entail how to how to get, so for example, The Power of Zero, right? I do not remember the author, but The Power of Zero is a great book because it teaches you how to set yourself up so that when you get to retirement, you'll essentially be at a zero tax bracket.
I read that book. Amazing book.
Powerful, very powerful. And it's not a hard read, but it is a very detailed one, right? Where it just breaks down different things. Another one that I would recommend is the Laser Fund. The Laser Fund really talks about the different types of tax-free strategies when it comes to retirement, for college planning, business owners, all these different facets of tax strategy. Now that book has two parts. It curates to both left and right side of the brain. Okay. So one side is very number driven, another one is very story driven. Okay, so that one is a good one too. Even the Robert Kiyosaki book, Rich Dad Poor Dad.
You know that's a classic.
Rich Dad Poor Dad. Another one by Napoleon Hill.
Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich. I like stories. I've also found that I really like detailed numbers, and when it comes to certain things, because it really helps you project how that story was produced and how the outcome came to be. But essentially, before reading, I think people have to make the decision to say, I want this for myself.
True.
What does it matter that you sit down and read so many books and then at the end of the day you decide to do nothing? So I can tell you, actually, it happened to me when I was not too long ago. I was 17, 18, and I had no job. I thought the job was going to come to me sitting on my couch.
You were praying about it.
I was praying about it.
Yeah.
I was praying about it. You know, the Lord provides. The Lord provides. And it wasn't until I realized that it wasn't. Like I can watch all the movies on Netflix and be very motivated and excited sitting on a couch, but until we don't make that decision, like the mental, here's how I think about it. The mental gets to your heart, and whatever gets to your heart will come out of your mouth and your lifestyle.
That's the practical name it and claim it.
Yeah.
That's how that idea is supposed to work. Of course, a lot of people circumvent it, and they just kind of, if you think about it, it'll happen, not realizing that there's a practical process for it, right? You first think about it, that creates some sort of emotional response. You'll have some sort of emotion, some feeling, and then you'll want to, take the appropriate steps to get that done. And I want to pivot a little bit from that idea to kind of Bitcoin. I want to get your idea on that, and because a lot of folks, and I can speak about it from like even my environment, right? A lot of folks are buying into Bitcoin and they think it's gonna retire them. They think they're gonna make so much money off it, right? And I'm wondering if that's something that you would recommend folks to learn about, to get into, especially now that we just learned that Friedman at the FTX exchange, like it was a $30 billion scam, right? From like these different Bitcoins. So would that be something that you would advise like viewers to get into? And I know you're not a financial advisor, but what's your opinion on that?
So when it comes to, are we just talking about Bitcoin or trading in general?
So I want to talk about Bitcoin itself, because I think there are people that are making money if you're like a day trader, right? And you're sniping and you're making like this quick money that you can just kind of take out of the exchange and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But Bitcoin as it being a currency, do you see it going anywhere with that? And honestly, this is a personal question too. I'm really curious about Bitcoin.
So remember when I said that the financial industry is evolving? That's one of the parts that I do think it'll be possible for Bitcoin or blockchain or all these type of different currencies can come alive. I've actually seen videos of people that I follow on social media buy buildings by using blockchain currency as an investment. So it's not impossible. And even though that might have been a scam, there are currencies that are developing that I think it's a healthy thing too. As long as people don't think that it's going to be the end all be all, cash is still going to be king for me. You know, like it's always going to be a part of life.
So as long as you follow like the pre-described like agreements, basically.
Correct. Now, if you are investing, the capital gains will come after you, depending on how you use that money, or you know, different tax. Different taxes that are on those, you know, type of investments. If you really learn how to use, a currency, you know, as investments without, you know, losing a whole bunch of capital, then I think it could be another engine for something as an investment for that person. I'm not totally listen. I'm not totally against there's not one perfect product. You know, there's not one perfect product. I think the power is that you diversify yourself. Diversification in your finances is key. You don't want just one engine, because you just never know what can happen, right? If you have your money locked up in this account, but then you have this account that provides liquidity, then you're good, you know? Now, that's the thing that people will always depend on one thing. There's a lot of people who depend on one thing, whether it's this or it's that, and now that's dangerous.
So when you say diversify, how would you describe that like in a basic term? What do we mean by diversifying? I know it would be like putting, you know, money in ETFs, maybe private stocks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is that?
That's what I mean. Yeah, split it up. Split up your wealth. Whether it's real estate. And real estate has many facets, right? And that's not. Can I talk to your viewers?
Of course. I mean, this is why you're here. Absolutely.
Here's what I recommend everybody to do. Get to a position in your wealth, whether it's you opening up your own business, whether it's you achieving one of your dreams, to get into a financial place where the doors open up for you. That way you can comfortably diversify your finances. Whether it's in real estate, whether it's in private investments, whether it's in life insurance assets, annuities, things that will open up the doors for you, because without the rich person, you know, has 7 to 8 income streams and even more, to be wealthy. I don't want to be rich. I want to be wealthy. I want to be wealthy. And so then for the viewers out there, I really recommend that you not only make a mental decision that you are more than just a job. And I'm not saying quit your job. What I am saying is, in the position that you are now, make a decision to know that you have been called to more, that you are more, that if you don't believe in yourself, that's okay, but that you can start believing in yourself right now, because that's all we have is right now, right? And so then when it comes to getting yourself to a point where you can diversify comfortably, it's game over. It's game over. And regardless of whether that investment was bad or whether that investment was good, that's where the lessons come in. You want to fail forward, you know, and then just learn different things, whether it's reading books, watching videos, having conversations with great people like we're doing now. Different things like diversify yourself, your finances, and you just never know. You just never know what can.
You never know what will pop off. And, you know, for the people that, you mentioned something that you want to be wealthy, right? Why would you want to be wealthy over rich?
Because being wealthy is bigger than yourself. When you're rich, I believe it's because you did it. It's because like I did this, nobody else. And I've met people like that on the road where they say, oh, I don't want to work with nobody, I'm good, like everything I've done in real estate or everything I've done here, like I did it. I'm like, okay, so you got money coming, you know, you're rich. I want to be wealthy. I want to be that beacon that when people encounter me, be like, oh, this is Kevin. You know, like where you just walk into the room and it's just like, I want to be inviting, yet confident. And I also want to, just by me being there, I just want to be a challenge to people.
So it's an attitude. It's almost like the way you carry yourself, in addition to obviously having the funds to back it up.
Yeah, of course.
But mindset kind of thing.
Mindset, lifestyle, also the way you carry yourself. Because everybody everyone has a struggle. Everyone has a past that they're always trying to heal from or still healing from. And so then it's just a matter of deciding. It's like when I tell people or talk about my marriage, I'm like, I have to choose my wife every day.
Every day.
I have to choose the Lord every day. I have to choose how I want to live every day. And the thing is that the product that people see, whether it's on Instagram or the product that they see from you, it wasn't because it happened yesterday. It was a choice that you made to do daily, things that you did daily, regardless of whether you wanted to do them or not. It was a choice. It was a decision. And so then my decision to be wealthy has a lot of facets to it. Am I there yet? No. Will I get there? Yes. Yes, definitely.
That's what we're doing. And I think I agree with your definition of wealth. And just to add on to it, I also think that wealth, when you're wealthy, you're able to leave a legacy, right? When you're wealthy, that means that you're able to leave what you built up to your loved ones, right? Or even donate it to charity. The fact is that you're able to make some sort of positive impact that moves something forward, humanity, whatever it is, towards an ideal, towards something greater, right? And the Bible says a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. So that's a command right there. A good person will leave a legacy, right? And it's not the fact that we're just going to leave inheritance, like here's the stock market, but it's the fact that God obviously also understands that there is a tool, money being a tool, and that wealth is just, you could use that tool to really expand wealth to your community, to your family, and all that good stuff. So I think there's just different layers to it. There's just different dimensions, and it has to do with impact. And you said a lot of good things. Wondering if you have any final notes that you would like to leave with the audience, any tips, just anything in general that you just feel on top of everything that you already given them, because you gave a lot.
Yeah, no, all glory to God. I do want to challenge everyone to really think about how do you want to be remembered? I think it's, listen, everyone has something to give. In every sport, there are hundreds of champions, but not all of them are remembered.
True.
And so then I want to be the champion that's not only guided by the Lord, but that it's like when I told you, like when they see me, they'll be like, wow, there's just something about this man here. And every man and woman has that potential. And so then I would challenge everybody to really think about how do you want to be remembered? Because the legacy is not only about finances. The legacy is about like, oh yeah, do you remember when we were sitting down and we were talking and I want to be unforgettable for centuries to come. Like that's we talked about it before, that everything that we do, we might not see the real impact that it's going to cause. If we do everything right and give all the glory to God, and like how we're really proclaiming it, there will be things that we're going to set up now that our children's will have to continue. But that impact is going to be greater than them. And another thing too is to finish off is, if it's not bigger than you, it's not worth it.
If it stops with you,
it's not even gonna begin. If it's not bigger than you, it's not worth it. And what do I mean by that? Everything that we do should be catered for our communities, for the legacy of our families, but no matter who we meet, whether we want to help that person, even whether we like that person. I think we're all called to something bigger than us. So, and I pray, I really do, in the name of Jesus, that everybody comes to a realization that everything that you have is all you need.
And
everything that you have, you probably haven't discovered it yet. That the thing that's in your heart, that thing that's in your mind, that thing that is, whether it's that fantastic idea, that calling, or you're scared to write that song, or you're scared to pray in a reel and on Instagram for somebody, or you're scared because you received the word for somebody to go and share it, or just to say hi to somebody who you see is having a bad, like, that's what I mean. The small things matter, right? And the small things will accumulate to that big thing. And I don't know what that is for people, but let me talk to the viewers one more time.
Go ahead.
I want to encourage you guys. I'm really calling you out right now because me being invited here has been an honor, but I think that a part of my calling is to change your perspective on life, and to really challenge the way you look at life right now. Whether you're feeling down, whether you're happy, whether you think you're good, there is something bigger out there for you. There is something that God, and I say God because that's who I believe in. That's my homeboy. But I pray that every person watching this will come to realize that your calling is amazing, and that you are loved, that you are chosen, that you are great, and that you have been called forth to change the world. And the change has to first happen in you. And the change, when it does happen in you, make sure you enjoy the process. Go through that process. But once you're in that process, you will see others gravitate to you because there is going to be something different in you that now you have to share, that now you have to give to others, and because you have something to give. When we fall in love with the Lord, bro, you know that there's always something to give. So yeah.
Listen, let us know when you're going to start your church. We'll be there. That was a powerful message, and again, man, you just dropped a lot of insight. I just know that the people, when they see this, they'll get a lot out of it, especially from the perspective of merging finance with biblical truths and things like that. And I think that's going to be encouraging because a lot of folks, I still feel like a lot of, I'm going to say, believers, they kind of hide their true ambitions because, they're afraid of reproach. They're afraid of being crucified and judged. So I really think that's going to help a lot of our audience. The messages and all that good stuff. We're just grateful. So thanks again, man, and we'll definitely do this again.
Awesome. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure, an honor.
Absolutely.